doing? My name's Dave, and if you're super late to the game with MixBox 2, you can call me Daveypoo, the Mobile Music Minstrel. How you doing? All right, today we got a long one. Today I'm going to go through every single effect in MixBox. That's right. Now, I got a few disclaimers before we launch into this. Firstly, I'm going to move fast. I'm putting my Micro Machines guy voice on today. I'm going to talk real fast because I want to get through this. There are 70 different effects in here, and if I take my time, man, I'm going to be here all dang day. Second of all, this will be as long as it needs to be. I want to get through every single one in one place just so you guys have a summary, one video that you can fast forward through to find out all these effects. 3, this is not going to be a deep dive into any one thing, okay? There's no way I can spend a ton of time on any one module, so I am going to be dipping my toes in super fast on each of these. As a result, number 4, I'm not going to fully represent any one insert here because I just can't. I don't have the time. I also, 5, don't know every single detail about every one of the pieces of gear that are modeled in here. My goal is to give you a summary and a high-level overview of what you got here so you can get an idea of what each one is. Now, number 6, I make mistakes. I miss stuff. I'm going to forget stuff. I'm going to be bouncing around, but hopefully this will make some sense and won't be too crazy. And lastly, I didn't invent any of this information. I have this magical tool that's called Google, and it gives me all of this stuff. My goal here is to put all of this in one package to deliver to you to make it ingestible and to not have to have you do all the searching on Google that I had to do. All right. Here we go. Let's jump into MixBox. So check it out. On the screen here, I'm hosting an 8 matrix as always. I've got MixBox up here. We'll talk about that in a second. I've also got an instance of multi-track here. Now, I have pre-recorded a guitar part and a bass part so that you guys can hear some guitar and bass. Now, why did I choose guitar and bass? Because a lot of the effects inside MixBox are more guitar-oriented, derived from guitar effects, things like that. There are guitar amps in here, so I figured that would be the best way to illustrate those sorts of things. And there's some bass amps and stuff in here too, so I wanted to have a bass. Now, what I've done with the guitar part, I'm going to play it for you. I just plugged the guitar straight into the interface, straight into here, and I just gained up the signal so that I could get, a usable signal. This guitar part has chords and a single note line. Here, I'll play it for you. So, this is chords using the neck pickup, and then chords using the bridge pickup of my Gibson SG. Okay, and then single note lines doing the same thing. This is neck pickup, and then it follows with bridge pickup. Now with the chord stuff, I tried to do a couple of choppy chords so you could get some, sharp staccato notes chords, and then also some more strummy, kind of longer legato chords. I tried to mix it up to give you guys a variety of different feels in a very short amount of time. Now for the bass part, I did, here, let's back this up. I have my Coordinator Control 2 here on the desk that I am controlling this with. So, this is a finger-picked part. Again, bass is plugged straight into the thing, my Fender Precision bass. This is a picked bass part, okay? I'm only using the precision pickup, the split pickup in the middle. Then I did a little slap. And then I went back to finger-picked, but more of a busier line, just to give you some variety, okay? And I have that set on infinite loop, so it'll go over and over and over again, okay? So that's what we're dealing with here, and we're running into MixBox. So, MixBox is set up like a rack, okay? And you've got 8 rack slots, 1, 2, 3, 4, and if I slide over, 5, 6, 7, 8, to be able to put effects in. Now, these effects are in series. That means that whatever is plugged into 2, the signal is going to go through 1 before it goes through 2, before it goes through 3, okay? To my ability, I've not been able to find a way to parallel route anything in here, so it's all series. You got your input on the left-hand side, you got your output on the right-hand side, okay? I'm not going to deep dive into all of the knobs here quickly. Today's video is about the effects specifically and what they sound like. We're going to do some other videos down the road with some of the other functionality, but let's get cracking. So here we go. There's a guitar part. First thing we've got when I click on the top is amps. So, what do we got in here for amps? American Vintage. Alright, there goes my notes. American Vintage is modeled after Fender Twin Reverb Silverface, okay, with two 12-inch speakers in it and JB Lansing speakers. And it includes a reverb. So let's just run through some of the controls here and see what it sounds like without me yapping once this thing cycles back around to the beginning. So here it is, just fired up. Okay, so that's American Vintage, all right? Next one that we have is British Tube Lead. British Tube Lead is modeled after a Marshall JCM 900, okay? The JCM 800 is the one I'm used to hearing more. This is a JCM 900, and it includes a cab modeler, so let's hear what it can do. All right, British Tube Lead. Next, we've got Cabinet. Okay, so let's go out. We're going to put in American Vintage here, and I'm going to put Cabinet over here. Okay, Cabinet is a variety of different speaker cabinet models. Okay, you've got little, you've got 1x12, you've got 1x12 to 410V, which I would assume is like a Vox. 410 M like a Marshall, 412 Vox, 412 Marshall. Again, I'm making basic assumptions here. So let's hear some of these. Now remember, this is putting a speaking cabinet emulator on top of one that's already in American Vintage. So you can change the mic type, the distance, on axis, off axis. This is what it would sound like with nothing but the dry guitar going into the cabinet modeler. And I'll wait a second until it cycles back to the chords again. Okay, so that's Cabinet. Next, we're going to go to Flexi Amp. So, Flexi Amp is like a simplified guitar modeler, right? It's an amp and cab together. This is a low CPU thing. And what I think they're implying is that if you've got a bunch of these racks running and you don't really want to drain all the power from your system, you can use Flexi instead and get it all in a single rack module. So, let's go through some of the stuff here and see what we can do. Let's crank up the gain. Let's turn that on. Oh, I see. I was trying to move the middle on the crunch, but it wasn't giving it to me, and I didn't realize it was darkened there, not available. Okay. Okay, got a variety of tones there. Now, if we go to bass, let me bring in the bass part. Okay, so it's a reminder of. Okay, so that's Flexi Amp. Let's move on. Jazz Amp 120. Okay, this is a model of a Roland JC 120. Okay, and it includes both the cab modeler and the chorus and vibrato. Okay, that's Jazz Amp 120. All right, modern tube lead. Okay, modern tube lead is modeled after a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. Okay, again, includes cab modeler and everything. Okay, modern tube lead. Preamp. Now, preamp is... this includes a bunch of different models in here. It includes a clean, Brit AC, mellow, crunch, lead. Okay, all of these things are like the tube preamp section of the guitar amp without the actual power amp. Okay? I can't think of an application for this in the moment, okay? But here, let's just go through some of these. Maybe you've got a cab modeler that you are gonna pump these through like an IR, and you want to only use the preamp. There you go. And you got a volume control, okay? That's preamp. Now let's go to the next one. SVT Classic. So let's bring in the bass. Okay, modeled after the classic SVT Classic, okay? By Ampeg. Okay, SVT Classic. Let's go back to the finger picking. Okay. No. There it is. All right, and then tone control. So this is like a tube tone control, okay? You got different tube models here. Now, a dry guitar is maybe not the best way to illustrate what some of these things are doing here, so, you know, that's the sacrifice we're making for speed. Tone control, tube tone control. Okay, let's move on to the next section. That's amps. Now we've got channel strip, okay? First here in the channel strip, this is modeled after a solid state Logic 4000 console 242 EQ. That's a lot of words. Okay, the SSL consoles were really big in studios. They're one of the most used consoles ever, okay? The very first thing in here is just a basic channel strip. You got a built-in compressor, you've got the gain, you've got basic sweepable EQs, right? You've got a sweepable mid, and you got shelving for the high and the low. Okay, there's your sweepable mids. Okay, so basic functional channel strip. Now let's go to this. EQ81. EQ81 is modeled after a Neve 1081 or a 1081 SE EQ, okay? Each one of these EQs has a different kind of a personality. And like I said at the top, I'm not intimately familiar with the SSL or the Neve, but what you'll have to do is play around with them, listen to what we've got here, and it'll show you some of the differences. So let's turn this up a little bit. You know, the other thing is that all these EQs are structured a little bit differently. So, do you want a parametric EQ? Do you want a graphic EQ? You know, what kind of machine are you wanting to drive? You know what I mean? Okay, EQ81. Now, EQ comp. This is a compressor and an EQ built in together. Okay, you've got mid-frequency, semi-parametric. Okay. Low gain, high gain, plus a built-in compressor. Now, again, I think because they don't want to kill your system resources, they're trying to give you some of these effects built in together so you can only use a single rack slot to achieve more than one thing. Okay, EQ comp. Let's move on to the next one, delay. Okay, at the top here, we've got a standard digital delay. Let's turn this up a little bit. So you've got feedback controls. Right. Digital delay. Pretty standard stuff. Okay. Reverb delay. So now you've got a delay and a reverb built in together. Okay, reverb delay. Now, tape echo. All right. This is your basic tape echo. This is modeled after a Maestro Echoplex EP3, sort of. The EP3 only really had one slider, not two, but this is stereo. And it's a tape delay, meaning that rather than a digital delay where every repeat is crystalline and clear and exactly what the previous repeat was, on a tape echo, the echoes would degrade over time, so they start to sound, well, less clear as they go on, which imparts a certain characteristic to the sound. And on most tape delays, if you turn the sustain past 50%, it starts to cycle back on itself and feedback. Which you can accomplish here also. Okay, before I blow up your ears, I'm going to turn that off. All right, tape echo. Moving on to distortion. All right. Watch your ears in this section because we're going to be switching around between a lot of different things. First, we've got a bit crusher here, okay? Ooh, you can get it to just crush it down to nothing. Ooh, that's really ratty. Wow, I like that a lot. Very nice. Okay, distortion. Okay, visually this is modeled after the Boss DS1 guitar pedal, but they've obviously built in more than one distortion in here. So let's turn this gain up here. So you get straight up overdrive. Now, here. Let me put this through an amp so we can hear more of what it's actually doing. So here it is without it. Okay, so now let's turn this on. That's distortion 1. Distortion 2. Ooh, I like that. That's real evil. Nice. That's really cool. Alright, so you've got some different distortion options in there. Let's go next to lo-fi. Wow, that's a really interestingly unique... I don't know how usable that is in every situation, but that's kind of cool. All right, low fire. It's a digital degrader. There you go. It includes a speaker and cab emulator. I got notes over here in case you're wondering what I'm staring at. Look at this. I actually did some prep work, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, overdrive. Okay, visually, this is modeled after a Boss OD1. Tonally, again, I'm not super familiar with that pedal, but here it is. Okay, you can get some various overdrive-y kinds of tones. Okay, let's move on. Overscream. This is obviously modeled after a Ibanez TS-808 or a TS9 tube screamer, okay? Okay, so that is distortion. Let's go to dynamics. Okay, so I'm going to move this compressor here after the amp, and I'm going to turn it on to its highest settings so that we can hear the actual compression kicking in. I don't know how well you can hear it. Okay, here's how compression I've found is used on guitar. A lot of guitar players I've heard use this effect in such a way where they want the attack of the note to be loud, but then they want the compressor to cut it right, or to squash it right after that, so that it makes that attack of the note really, really punchy. I'm not super proficient at dialing in that tone, but we're going to go through a couple of different compressors. I'm going to max them out to their highest settings so that you can hear more of the compressor kicking in. But this is a very difficult effect for me to illustrate, more so than a delay or a distortion or something like that, so just bear with me here. Okay. Let's go through the next one. Bus compressor. Okay, and again, like all the other stuff we talked about, each of these just sort of has a different personality to it. There you go. So again, this is not usable like it is, but this is an extreme way to show you what's going on. You hear that? That attack is real sharp. Okay, the bus compressor is based on a solid-state Logic stereo bus compressor. Okay, for those of you that wanted to know, the Black 76 is a Universal Audio 1176 compressor. I don't know anything about those particular units, but there you go. This is a tube compressor. Let's turn the attack down, turn the drive up, turn the gain down. Moving on, de-esser. Okay, a de-esser is typically used when you've got a lot of p and s sounds. If you want to get rid of those, it takes off the very, very, very highest frequencies. Kind of hard to illustrate here, but bang, they have a de-esser in there. I'm not going to go any further. Let's move on. Okay, a limiter. A limiter is very much like a compressor, except it's more like a ceiling. So what a compressor does is it takes the volume, amplitude range, okay, loudness range of your signal, and it limits how loud the loudest signal can get and how soft the quietest signal can get, and makes less dynamic range. And then you can take all of that and move that louder or softer, however you like. With a limiter, what it does is it just provides a ceiling so that your sound can't get any louder than a set threshold. It's a very simple compressor. Again, hard to show off here, but there's a limiter in here. Look at that. Okay. The Model 670. This is like a Fairchild 670 compressor. Again, another type of compressor. Another flavor, okay, for your arsenal. And then lastly, a White 2A is a Universal Audio LA2A compressor. More compressors. Woo! Compressor madness. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to EQ. So, obviously, an equalizer is an equalizer. We all know about equalizers. This one is modeled after a solid-state Logic 611 EQ, okay? Solid-state Logic made these big consoles. We talked about SSL earlier on. You know, it's an EQ. You can turn things up, turn things down, and tone shape. Each of these is configured a little differently. Again, they have personalities of EQs just like you have a personality. There's some notes. Let's go on to the next one. EQ PG. This is, I don't know why they call it PG. Usually I think of like parametric or paragraphic. Maybe paragraphic. This is a graphic equalizer. Okay, again, it cuts and does things. Yay, graphic equalizer. I don't think this is modeled after anything in particular. It's a graphic EQ. Let's keep going. Parametric EQ. Woo! All right. You've got gain, you've got two sweepable frequencies, and a Q, which is your resonance, okay? How wide a band do you want to affect, or how narrow a band do you want to affect, okay? Turn this down a little. What am I doing? I'll turn it down over here. Okay, a parametric EQ, great. Vintage EQ 1A. Now, this is modeled after a Pultec EQP 1A. Again, a lot of these are famous vintage pieces of gear that if you're a super nerd, some of them I'm familiar with. I'm a super nerd. But, you know, you're really going to have to use your ears to figure out which one of these you like and why and for what. It's hard for me to illustrate what they are. But let's keep going to the more interesting stuff. All right, let's go to filter. There we go. Sorry that took a little while to get to. Okay, so this is an envelope filter, meaning that it's opening the filter dependent on the loudness envelope, okay, the amplitude envelope. So every time you hit a note, it's going to do that auto-wah thing. Visually, this looks like a Mini Moog Model D to me, but sonically, I don't know what filter range they're modeling. Doesn't matter. Formant filter. Okay, visually this looks like a Modor formant filter. Well, it's a Eurorack module. There you go. It's a formant filter. Sweet. Next, filter phaser. Now this is cool. Okay. This takes the filter section out of what I think is the Mutron biphase, okay, and it uses it as a static filter rather than sweeping through the range. Like I could just choose one. That's really interesting. I've not seen this effect before, and I really like the filter phaser. It's really, really unique. Okay, filter C. Now, we're getting into different types of filters. So, filter C, filter M, filter O, and filter R. This is modeled after the Curtis CEM 3320 filter chip that's in the Prophet 5 and the OBXA. This is modeled after the Moog transistor ladder filter that's in the Moog Model D. Filter O is modeled after the Oberheim SEM filter. And filter R is modeled after the Roland IR3109 filter chip that's in the Juno 60 and the Jupiter 8. Okay, so you got lots of different types of filters here and modeling classic filter modules, okay? LFO filter, so this is kind of like, well, it's not an envelope wah, it's an auto wah being triggered by an envelope, so, you know. Okay, there you go, LFO filter. Multi-filter, now this one's cool too. You can filter a bunch of different, you have a low pass, band pass, high pass, and notch pass. And you can use them all at the same time. and then wah 47. This is sort of like a wah pedal, you know, like a... I'm going to say they modeled it after the Vox V8 47A, okay, just because of the 47. Visually, this doesn't look anything like a Vox. But you got the wah, the rocker pedal. If you want to map an expression pedal to it, you can. Or you can set the auto wah function. Okay, let's keep going. We're almost done. Modulation. Okay, you got an amplitude modulator here, okay? It's using the carrier signal to modulate the volume or the amplitude, okay? So you're using this frequency to modulate the loudness of the incoming signal. Hear that? And you get ring modulator type effects, okay? Auto pan. It's an auto panner. Okay, automatically goes back and forth between the two things in your ears. Chorus. Okay, visually this is modeled after a Boss CE2 stomp box, okay? And it's a standard chorus. Very straightforward, okay? Chorus CE1. This is modeled after the Boss CE1 chorus ensemble, okay? Which is another famous unit. So you got a vibrato and a chorus. Okay? I'm moving at a quicker clip here because we're getting long in the tooth. Electric flanger. So this is a model of an Electro-Harmonix electric mistress. It's a very specific type of flange. Okay, it has a very, very specific sound. So there you go. Ensemble. This is the model of the Roland Juno or the string synth and Selena string ensemble choruses, okay? I'm turning up the settings to their highest settings so you can really hear what's going on. Okay, if we go to the next one, envelope flanger, okay? You've got a flanger here where the envelope controls the amount of feedback. This one makes me feel seasick, and I dig it. I don't know how I would apply this, but I really like this. It's kind of uncomfortable. I like it. Okay. Then we've got like a regular flanger, okay? This is like an MXR Phase 90 or like an ADA flanger, okay? Visually. Okay, standard flanging going on here. FM modulator. So, much like the amplitude modulator, here we've got the carrier wave signal is modulating the frequency of the incoming signal. So you've got this wave here is changing not the loudness of the incoming signal, but the frequency. And again, you get sort of ring modulator type effects with this. Similar but different to the other one. Okay, you got a multi-chorus here. This is like random pitching, okay? It's less predictable than your standard chorus, so it's a little more unique sounding. Okay. Opto tremolo. This is modeled after the Fender Opto tremolo. And, you know, I mean, it's a tremolo pedal. Very simple, straightforward. So many tools in here, guys. Okay, a phaser. This is visually looks like a Moog. Okay, phasing stuff. You got a rotary speaker. This is a model of a Leslie 147 spinning speaker. You got slow, fast, and break, which is off. Good stuff. I love having this available to me. Slicer. Cool. This is really neat. I hadn't really played with the slicer much. I dig that. Okay, small phaser. This is modeled after the Electro-Harmonix small stone phaser. Again, a very unique sounding phaser, so that particular model has been included in here. You've got a tremolo. Okay, so this sounds like it's got a harder knee on it. So maybe this is like a square wave tremolo, whereas the other one's more like a sine wave tremolo. And then Univibe. Let's get the classic Univibe sound going here. Oops, distortion. We'll do the distortion. Let's go back to the, when it gets back to the chords, you'll hear that classic. It's that Hendrixy swooshy. It's kind of like a phaser, kind of like a flanger, kind of like a rotary speaker, but kind of like none of them. All right. Now, let's finish this thing out strong here. Let's get rid of this empty. Get rid of that empty. Take this back to the beginning. And what do we got now? Reverbs. Okay. Turn the reverb off here. We're going to go to, we've got ambiance. Now, instead of having different types of reverbs all in a single reverb unit, they gave you different units, okay? So this one is more like room reverbs. Okay. Convo room. This is a convolution reverb using impulse responses. Studio, theater, opera, studio A, hall. Okay, reverb. Digital reverb. Oops. Okay, like a big sounding digital reverb. Let's go to the hall reverb. Okay. I don't think these are modeled off of anything in particular. Now, here's an inverse reverb. That one I like. Coming in at you backwards. Okay, plate reverb. Pretty splashy sounding, like typical for a plate reverb. Here's a room reverb. Spring reverb. One of my favorites. And then a stereo imager. So I get the feeling like this is more like a Haas effect kind of a thing, for those of you familiar with multi-band Haas effect and other apps like that. Okay, saturation is the last. Now, we've got a phonograph emulator. It imparts a really interesting It's a kind of a really cool rat even to turn the crackle off. Okay? Saturator X. Here we've got a bunch of different types of tape saturations. Okay, there's your saturator. And lastly, tape cassette. You've got wow, you've got flutter. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is every single effect inside MixBox by IK Multimedia. This app is astoundingly powerful. And I know that was a very long video. Thank you for your patience. But there you go. That is every single effect. Now, we're going to do more with MixBox, but you can just see the power. It took us 43 minutes to go through all of that. That's 70 effects all in one, and they're all super high quality effects. So go check out MixBox by IK Multimedia. If you like this sort of thing, please give the channel a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. Click that little bell icon if you want notifications for the next video. Come check me out on Facebook and check me out on Instagram and on Twitter. And I have free music to download at daveypoo.bandcamp.com. There's like 13 albums up there and they're all 100% free for you to download, except for maybe I think one song is for sale. Go download it. Go check out the tunes that I've done. See what I do in real life. And, hey, go check me out on the Audio Bus forum if you're there. And any of the other social media sites that I forgot to mention. Thank you again, IK Multimedia. This was an awesome gift. And I will see you guys next time, baby. Later.